Anyway, Brett,
Anyway,
we're here for our first podcast.
make us influencers.
I am. You go.
Well, you're on that bloody LinkedIn thing.
LinkedIn thing. LinkedIn.
Yes. Anyway, Andy, this is a bit topical at the moment. How do economic recessions impact construction budgets?
That's a very good question. I get asked that every time there's a recession, every time things are a bit hard, people ask me that all the time. Costs in a recession, when it starts, it's actually not too bad. The costs stay similar. And they're staying, usually before a recession, we have a bit of a boom. And we hit the recession and costs don't come down, they go static. Everybody thinks that the price of building is going to get cheaper, and it's not. It never gets cheaper. Everything always goes up. So, in my experience, costs will stay static, and at the moment we're probably right in the middle of a recession. So I would say we're probably a couple of years away from anything going up. If you want to build something, now's the time to build it, if you've got cash.
Yeah, because you've got the impact on materials, but you've also got the labour.
I think the labour costs will stay static as well. You will see a wee bit of increase from labour, but the materials will stay static. And there's a lot of contractors, a lot of suppliers out there that are telling us about materials that they've got stacked. Yeah. And so the stuff like that's coming down, and then you get the things like Winstones, wall boards for plasterboard, telling us that they're going to struggle, trying to set the market for themselves, and telling us that they're going to struggle for materials, or we're going to have a bit of a lull. That's why we need other people bringing stuff into the market, and I think it'll help us maintain a level. I can't see the pricing going up soon. I can't see it going up at all in the next few years, to be honest, couple of years I would say.
Yeah, we've sort of both been around for a while and been through some of these.
Must be for yourself, right? I'm quite young.
So we had this conversation earlier on. I think it's about my fourth cycle, but you did touch on it before. Where do you think we are in this recessionary cycle at the moment?
There's two answers to this. Where I think we are, I think we're probably mid. I think we're in the middle of it. I think we're in the eye of it at the moment. But there's good feeling around in the last month because the interest rates dropped 25 points. However, I went to see an economist last month, and he's probably the most honest economist I've ever seen, if you can get one of them. And he started telling me about how everything, he was telling us all about how everything works. And he wasn't one of your usual guys that tries to soapbox. As we've all seen the guys at soapbox and they try and get a name out of it. This guy wasn't. He was totally under the radar. He was actually teaching us how the market works. He told us about bears. He told us about all the different things and how the market goes up and down. And it made sense that he said that the market, the shareholders market, shares market, will change 6 months before our market. So you start to see all that changing, and we can actually see that starting. He was saying that they can start to see that starting to change now. So I think we're 6 months before we start to hit that. You know, in a recession, and you hit the bottom and you start to come back up. I think we're just hit the bottom and we're on our way back.
Yeah, because it's really spearheaded with architects doing more design and tendering, obviously. So has there been an increase in tendering at all?
Well, we've had a bit of, as you know, we've had a bit of increase in developers coming to us with plans and saying that I'm looking at this bit of land, or old jobs that have been put on hold that we hear are coming back out to us again. Developers, big developers, are trying to hit the market early. So if they can get in early when the market does turn, because it takes 2 to 4 years for a job to hit the ground. So if they can get in now, and in 2 years' time the market starts to really turn for them, they've done a deal with a contractor at a rate that they want. That now's the best buy-in for them. They just don't want to hit the market too early or too late, and they're just trying to. And they're the ones that have been through a lot more cycles of it than the other developers. Mums and dads, developers, I've seen a lot more of that stuff coming through. The banks are obviously lending to them. probably 6 units on a bit of land and things like that. The banks are asking us to do a bit more on that, which is unusual. I've not seen that happen in a cycle like this before. Obviously, the recession affects rebuild valuations as well, because we're pricing them. However, when we're pricing them for 2 years out as well.
That's right.
So we're having to gauge where the inflation is going to be in 2 years.
It's quite a complex conversation.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So doing the rebuild valuations, being in a recession does have a bit of an effect on them, but it is quite complex on how to calculate that, because we have to price stuff 2 years out. So we're having to, and a lot of that will come from past experience and past knowledge on how we do that.
Yeah, and obviously there's inflation in there as well, and dare I mention COVID, but as a business, CCC made an adjustment to inflation pretty much straight away, whereas a lot of people didn't, and they were quite reactionary, and I think we've been finding that they've still been applying a lot of inflation when we're actually calming down quite a bit. And obviously, again, with the sum insurance valuations, you're dealing with rebuilding a building today, in today's costs, but then you have to forecast it for 2 years. Mm-hmm. So how do you forecast it for 2 years?
A lot of it's on experience, and what's been, the market doesn't really change. It changes, but it doesn't change. The cycles don't change. You still have a similar cycle. We can see where we're going. If you've got 5% is probably where the average is over the years. If you average everything out, it probably becomes about 5 to 6% of an increase. We did have, we've found people having compound inflation put onto the rebuild valuations by valuers, and some of them, we've found few of them that are 50% overvalued. Yeah, which means that these customers are paying all this more insurance than they should be, and it's the insurance brokers are picking that up, and why the valuers are not picking that up, I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, the initial problem there was, again, COVID. They sort of ramped it up to about 15-20% and bought into the media, and there was a big hype on it, and then the following year they put it on to another 20% on top of the 20%, and then the year after that they put 25% on those previous ones, and you've got seriously overinflated values. And I know for a fact that, because sometimes I have to take those causes, questioning our values and saying, why are you so low? Yeah. It's a hard one to discuss.
It's a big question we get a lot about why are you so much lower, which isn't a question. Probably it's 10% of the 100%, isn't it? That we get people will come in and say, why is yours so low? But it's more often at the moment because the way that values have been pricing stuff and overvaluing it. But I did notice that you've said COVID twice, and that really worries me.
Okay. Well done to pick that up.
I'm a scorecard.
I'd eat a watermelon, but I wouldn't taste it. So, based on that, this now is a pretty good time to finish this off.
Well, thank you, Brett.
Thank you, Andy. This has been insightful, and hopefully insightful for people watching it.
Yeah, it's really good to get things like this on record, that then it gets people to realise that we actually are discussing all this stuff all the time.
Yep.
So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Keep it easy, Auckland.
Yeah, great.